I always recognized my sister's self-centeredness, but I never anticipated she'd take it to this extreme. Squandering my youth, all for a fleeting taste of freedom. I assure you, I'm being completely honest. Living in a family where your sister has children often means making significant sacrifices. You'll see why tears flowed as I penned my paper in the dead of night, with two little ones clambering on my back as if they were enjoying a game of horseback riding. What's even more frustrating? Everyone in the family perceived it as perfectly fine. I tolerated it for a considerable time, believing it would eventually fade away, but I was mistaken. It spiraled downward, moment by moment, until I felt as though I was on the brink of losing my very essence. Clara is my name. At 22, I find myself residing with my parents in a quiet suburban area of Ohio. This is the tale of how I was compelled to relinquish my existence, simply to serve as my sister's unpaid caregiver. I am currently in my final year studying communications at a public university, located roughly a 30-minute drive from my home. My existence was meant to revolve around lectures, assessments, and aspirations for the future, yet here I am, diverging from that path. For me, college was not a symbol of liberation. It was an ongoing sprint between deadlines and diaper changes. It began 3 years ago, during the autumn of my first year in college. At that time, I was innocent enough to believe that assisting my sister with the kids for a while was simply a matter of practicality, particularly when she arrived at our home in a flurry, cradling her newborn daughter in one arm and a diaper bag in the other, speaking in a rush. "Clara, I have a crucial meeting coming up in just 1 hour. Could you please keep an eye on the twins for me?" I gazed at the infants, mere months into their lives, eyes shut, lips pursed, and pondered. How challenging could it really be? I gave a slight nod. 1 hour, absolutely. Yet it was only 15 minutes in when the first cry echoed through the air. Next comes the second. Then arrived the soggy diapers, the little hiccups, and the occasional spit-up. What began as 1 hour stretched into 2 and then 3. The sun dipped below the horizon before I even noticed, leaving me weary, drenched in milk, my hair glued together with drool. When my sister Samantha finally came back, she didn't appear to be someone who had just stepped out of a meeting. She clutched the shopping bags from Macy's while balancing a Starbucks cup. Her smile radiated warmth. "Thank you, darling. You have an innate talent for motherhood." I offered a lackluster smile, unaware that embracing motherhood would become a 3-year commitment with no chance of release. From that day forward, Samantha began to regard me as her own personal caretaker. At times it was, "I have a dentist appointment," or "I need to do grocery shopping by myself," or "Jack and I have plans for the weekend." Every explanation seemed so logical that even my parents were convinced nothing was amiss. What about me? I couldn't bring myself to refuse. Initially, it was merely a handful of hours. Next, complete Sundays. There was a time when she entrusted us with the twins for 3 days, as Jack had an urgent work commitment, and I felt it was important to accompany him to maintain the connection between us. I was not consulted. She casually tossed the diaper, bag onto the couch, and vanished without a trace. The memory of my initial attempt to refuse lingers vividly in my mind. On that day, I faced a midterm for my media philosophy class. When Samantha arrived, her arms were overflowing with baby seats, diapers, and toys. I halted her. "I have a test this afternoon, so I need to focus on studying." With a sidelong glance and a playful smirk, she confidently strode inside. "Oh, Clara, please, let's not overreact. The children are often asleep, allowing you the perfect opportunity to study during their nap time. Does that ring a bell?" Indeed, that line lingered in my mind during my entire college experience. Feel free to embrace your creativity during their nap time. Those who have nurtured infants understand. It's the harshest deception. Her twins, Olivia and Ethan, might appear as cherubic beings, yet they were two miniature tempests poised to disrupt any scheme I devised. I once composed a 200-word paper using one hand, all while soothing a teething, feverish Ethan with the other. I had dozed off at my desk mere hours before the deadline, as Olivia kept me awake through the night, only settling down when I sang to her. My grades have declined. My health deteriorated. My friendships have dwindled since Clara is constantly occupied with babysitting. No one grasped the reason behind my constant refusals to join hangouts or my sudden disappearances every weekend. I once attempted to express to my parents that babysitting was having an impact on my future. Yet, they merely exhaled in resignation. Samantha faces significant challenges. As her sister, what's the harm in lending a hand? I compelled a smile, acknowledged with a nod, and slipped further into the obscurity of the family. Yet within, an oppressive sensation was intensifying. It feels as though my existence is no longer my own. Little did I realize that everything was on the brink of chaos, all due to what appeared to be a minor chance, a journey I had yearned for. I once believed that with enough effort, others would see all that I was giving up. However, that is not the case. The more I surrendered, the more they overlooked my efforts. Whenever I voiced my concerns, Samantha would dismiss me with her gentle yet patronizing tone. "Clara, please don't be so over the top. You're their aunt. Can't you find a moment for family?" I let out a derisive laugh. "Sometime, perhaps?" In that instant, I found myself typing a presentation on a laptop precariously balanced on my knee, while simultaneously wiping Ethan's runny nose with one hand and preventing Olivia from tumbling off the couch with the other. The clock was approaching the stroke of midnight. The presentation took place at 8 a.m. I hadn't even begun the central section. Samantha overlooked that, or perhaps she did, and simply decided to overlook it. When I informed her that I couldn't babysit due to a test, she let out a dry laugh. "A trial? I can retake it, but I won't be able to have another free day with my husband." "You're still young, Clara. Those things aren't as significant as the bonds of family." The term family had been repeated to me so often that it sent shivers down my spine. My sister had an uncanny ability to sway emotions. She understood precisely when to feign vulnerability and when to unleash her fury. In moments of my uncertainty, she would let out a heavy sigh, her eyes shimmering as if I were a cold-hearted fiend, consumed by my own desires. And when I stood my ground, her voice would rise in fury, branding me a traitor, a self-centered, soul devoid of compassion. What's the most frustrating aspect? My parents always seemed to be against me. They often remarked, "Your sister has her own family now. If assistance is within your reach, please extend it. Assistance needed." What a soft term for a position that offered no compensation, no deadlines, and not even a proper acknowledgement. I began to lose it all. I couldn't attend my best friend's birthday party as my sister had a therapy appointment for Olivia. I missed an important assignment deadline because Jack hurt his back, and she required my help to look after the kids for a day. What began as a single day stretched into a second. Then 3. Friends gradually faded from my life. Though no words were spoken, the unspoken tension was palpable. Less frequent invitations and group chats have stopped including me. People perceived me as unmotivated and careless. They were unaware that I was merely existing, caught between two realms. A realm of aspirations and visions, and a world filled with diapers and ceaseless wails. There was a moment when I fainted right in the campus library, not from mere fatigue, but from utter depletion. I had gone without more than an hour of sleep for 48 hours, as Ethan was battling a high fever, and Olivia persistently pleaded, "Aunt Clara, sing again." Each time I shut my eyes. My communications professor summoned me to her office, inquiring if I was experiencing mental health challenges, as my assignments had consistently been submitted late. I simply lowered my head. What words should I use? Indeed, my sister has ensnared me in a full-time nanny position with no days off in sight. There was a time when I attempted to sever everything completely. I switched off my phone, secured my door, and committed to dedicating an entire weekend to my final project. Samantha has left a total of 13 missed calls, 7 texts. The final call was from my mother. Clara, what were you thinking? Your actions brought tears to your sister's eyes. Are you not aware that she's dealing with a significant amount of pressure? I gazed up at the ceiling, each throb of my headache intensifying with every pulse. That marked the final occasion I attempted to establish boundaries. Since then, I have come to terms with confinement. I discovered how to rest on chairs, consume instant noodles while soothing another's child to slumber, and compose documents amidst the chaos of cries and cereal scattered across my keyboard. That was the essence of Clara's existence, merely a silent presence, orbiting the ease of others. At times, I found myself pondering whether my absence would leave a mark on my family. Would they truly feel my absence? Or would they simply seek out another to take on the burden I reluctantly bore? On a tempestuous night, with thunder rumbling. In the distance, Olivia awoke with a jolt. I embraced her, attempting to calm her for what seemed like an eternity. My eyes felt like they were on fire, and every part of me ached with exhaustion. I gazed at the graduation photo from high school hanging on the wall. The gaze captured in that photograph radiated with aspirations and possibilities. The version of me that stood there could only perceive a gray, suffocating barrier, mirroring the existence I felt ensnared within. I realized I couldn't continue down this path. Yet, after enduring confinement for an extended period, the mere contemplation of liberation can evoke a sense of guilt. Indeed, I had considered the possibility of a definitive no. Yet I envisioned the weight of my mother's disappointment, the quiet of my father's response, my sister's outburst, and what about me? Yielding once more. Until an event transpired. A tiny spark, yet powerful enough to unleash the turmoil I had contained for 3 long years. A call to join, a strategy, a fleeting moment of optimism. I was taken aback when that flicker of hope unveiled my sister's genuine nature. It's hard to recall the last moment I truly felt a spark of excitement for my own existence. As I grasped the envelope containing a $10,000 check from my grandmother for graduation, my heart raced, feeling as though a door had finally swung, ajar after 3 long, shadowy years. I understand the depth of your sacrifices, my dear, my grandmother said, her voice quivering with the weight of her years. Now, take a moment to indulge in something that brings you joy. I was on the verge of tears at the dinner table. It was about more than just the money. It marked the first genuine acknowledgement I had experienced after countless years devoted to the needs of others. That evening, I shared with my dear friends, Jenna, Melissa, and Naomi, the ones who consistently reached out, even when my responses were few and far between. During a few cups of coffee, the conversation naturally veered towards the dream trip each of us envisioned embarking on after graduation. Naomi had her heart set on Italy, Jenna was completely captivated by Spain, and then Melissa inquired, "How about you, Clara? Didn't you used to mention wanting to go somewhere?" A smile graced my lips, yet a sharp ache lingered in my heart. Those dreams had remained confined in the depths of my memory for an eternity. However, I responded, "For the first time in years, I feel a genuine sense of assurance. France. I've always dreamed of visiting the Eiffel Tower and enjoying a coffee at a charming cafe on the streets of Paris." A hush fell over the table for a brief moment. Then Naomi applauded. "Then let us embark on our journey to France." In the span of a mere hour, everything transformed. My phone was constantly illuminating. Websites for booking flights, making hotel reservations, and organizing travel plans. The room was alive with laughter. My eyes sparkled with excitement. After 3 long years, I finally caught a glimpse of a light, something known as hope. The fee? Tickets for the flight have been secured. The reservation at the Montmartre Hotel has been confirmed. Our departure is set for early August. Only 3 weeks to go. I created a detailed packing list, purchased a stylish new suitcase, and delved into the world of French cuisine. I had never experienced a stronger connection to Clara. Not a caretaker, not Samantha's quiet companion, but a recent graduate, full of promise and potential, thrilled to explore the world. The following day, I arrived home sooner than I typically would, as my mom mentioned that we were having a family dinner. The aroma of BBQ sauce wafted through the entire house as Dad tended to the grill outside. Naturally, Samantha made her entrance, pulling Jack along with the 2 children who were, as always, shrieking and darting around everywhere. Once dinner had concluded and the table was still occupied by everyone, I revealed my news. This August, I've arranged a trip to France for a vacation with some friends. Once I completed my task, a sharp clang of metal against a plate echoed through the air. Samantha let her fork slip from her grasp. Her eyes grew wide as if I had just declared my intention to join the circus. "Excuse me? When will it be?" "The beginning of August." "We wrapped everything up last night." "Beginning of August?" Her voice cut through the air like a finely honed edge. "Clara, you must be joking, aren't you?" My gaze fell upon her. "Serene, this is genuinely the first trip I've ever organized for myself. And I shall proceed." Samantha gritted her teeth, gripping her glass so fiercely I feared it might break. "Jack and I have already mapped out our trip to Colorado for that week." "You were aware. You chose that moment intentionally to avoid it." "I was unaware," I responded, making an effort to maintain my composure. "We just had a conversation. Last night, I took care of all the bookings." She sprang from her seat as if the weight of the world had become unbearable. "Cancel it. Cancel that trip immediately. I need you to take care of the kids. There is no one else." All gazes in the room were fixed upon me. My father cast his gaze upon his plate. My mom began to speak, but then hesitated. I inhaled deeply. "I won't be canceling. For the past 3 years, I have dedicated myself to being your caregiver, putting aside my education, my friendships, and my own life. This marks the inaugural occasion where I am prioritizing my own needs, and I'm not requesting, I am reporting this." Samantha struck the table with her hand, causing the kids to jump in surprise. "Clara, your actions are quite self-centered. Who do you think will keep an eye on them while I'm away? Dad is currently undergoing heart treatment, and Mom is working full-time. Who will lend a hand?" A chilling laugh escaped my lips. "Engage a professional. If you have the means for a getaway, you certainly have the means for childcare assistance." "No, no, no," she cried out. "I have a hard time trusting people I don't know. The children require a familiar presence. In that case, just remain at home. You are their mother. Your children should be the top priority, not I." Samantha's cheeks flushed a vivid crimson. She directed her finger towards me. "This is a decision you will come to regret, Clara. I truly mean it." I rose to my feet, my gaze fixed intently on hers. For the last 3 years, I've felt a sense of regret, but now, I am prioritizing my own needs. I ascended the stairs, my heart racing within me, a blend of trepidation and solace. From below, I could hear my mom attempting to soothe her, but I was beyond caring at that point. For the very first time, I found the courage to stand up for myself. I was completely unaware that this was merely the start. A tempest of greater magnitude was gathering, simply because I had the audacity to envision a journey. I believed that following that evening, everything would calm down. Samantha, despite her anger, would inevitably embrace the truth. I had shed the role of the compliant little sister who always agreed. However, I made an error. The following morning, she arrived at our house unannounced, without a knock, just as she always did. As I slowly opened my eyes, the sound of children screaming downstairs reached my ears. Olivia was in tears, searching desperately for her beloved teddy bear. Ethan pounded his toys against the floor, as if conducting an energetic drumline. I trudged down the stairs, still in my pajamas, hair tousled, and there she was, Samantha, welcoming me with a smile so sugary it could give you cavities. "Clara, I need to dash out. There's an urgent meeting at the kids' school. Could you please keep an eye on them for a bit?" I stood still, as if a sudden cascade of icy water had just engulfed me. Is this for real? Absolutely. It's crucial to recognize the challenges of motherhood, and the sense of freedom is significant. Complimentary, I interrupted her, my voice trembling with fury. Perhaps my message wasn't conveyed clearly yesterday, so allow me to reiterate. I'm no longer responsible for watching the kids. Not now, not in the future, not at any time. Samantha pressed her lips together, her eye twitching, her entire face taut, as if she were striving to maintain her composure. "Clara, your behavior is quite immature. Do you really believe that just because you have a trivial trip in the works, you can disregard your family? This isn't just a frivolous journey, Samantha. It's the realization of my dream. It's a well-earned recognition after all that I've given up." With a sharp retort, she declared her sacrifice. Is watching the kids for a while really a sacrifice? You're not alone in having to let go of certain things. Do you have any idea how challenging it is to be a mother? Do you really believe I have time for myself? For a brief moment, I held my tongue, then burst into laughter, a hollow, vacant chuckle. Your spa days remain a delightful ritual every Saturday. You continue to go on dates with Jack. You continue to visit the shops at least once a week. In the meantime, I find myself reflecting on the fact that I haven't enjoyed a single night out with friends. It feels as though I've sacrificed 3 years of my youth to the endless cycle of changing diapers and preparing bottles. And you claim I haven't given up anything? You're being absolutely absurd, she shouted. You seem to think that your modest vacation plan is the center of the universe. I ascended a single stair, bringing myself to her eye level, our gazes intertwining. Negative. I've finally begun to center my world on myself, as it has been too, long under the influence of your self-centeredness. Samantha recoiled, her expression drained of color, seething with rage. You're doing this out of spite, aren't you? I had a feeling about that. You orchestrate this entire journey only to disappear. When I need you the most, you seek retribution. I inhaled deeply, forcing down the anger that threatened to spill over. It's not about revenge. It's about preserving my own well-being. She shot me a fierce look before pivoting to our mom, who lingered by the kitchen counter, cradling a cup of tea that remained untouched. Mom, did you catch what she mentioned? She is distancing herself from her family. My mother let out a deep sigh. Silence reigns, no rebuttals, no resistance, just the usual routine. I had no expectations left for her at this point. Samantha. I spoke softly, yet my tone cut through the air like a knife. I'm no longer the little sister you can control. I've reached my limit. I have no obligation to you. I have no obligation to those kids. This family does not hold any obligation over me. Your actions reflect a lack of consideration for others. Unappreciative, she let out a fierce cry. I have looked after you for many years. I severed ties with her. In what ways have you looked after me? By compelling me to sacrifice everything for your own comfort? I descended the stairs, picked up my purse from the chair, retrieved the folder containing the plane tickets and hotel confirmations, and casually placed them on the table. Travel arrangements are finalized, accommodations secured. I am heading to France. I stand firm in my decisions. A hush fell over the room. My sister simply remained in place. The children began to whine softly, picking up on the unease in the air. I chose not to offer them any comfort. Samantha let out a sharp hiss between her teeth. "This will come back to haunt you, Clara. Mark my words, turning your back on your family will lead to regret." I made my way to the door. Perhaps. Yet, this time, it's a decision I've made for myself. With a gentle push, I shut the door, sealing off the world outside. A decisive click, like a period marking the conclusion of a sentence crafted through 3 years of self-neglect, all in the pursuit of being the perfect little sister. What I was unaware of was that Samantha's rage extended beyond mere empty threats. Because she had a different scheme in mind. It was an experience that transported me to a realm of dreams. It was a nightmare that caught me completely off guard. I can still recall the precise instant when everything unraveled, just a day before I was set to arrive in Paris. The dream I had cherished for years was on the verge of becoming a reality. Having just completed the task of tagging my luggage, I carefully placed all essential documents into the secure compartment of my suitcase, preparing for the airport journey ahead. Every aspect was flawless, right to the tiniest nuance. I had barely stepped outside for an hour. A swift visit to the nearby supermarket to pick up sunscreen, camera batteries, and a handful of final essentials for the journey. Upon my return, the late afternoon sun bathed the room in a warm, golden light streaming through the windows. All appeared serene, until the sound of laughter drifted in from the living room. I stood still. That delightful sound. It was Olivia and Ethan. Samantha had not visited the house in several weeks. What were the children engaged in here? I tossed the shopping bag onto the kitchen counter and dashed into the living room. At that moment, they came into view. Olivia clutched a blue marker, while Ethan grasped a pair of scissors, and nestled between them was my passport. I sprang forward as if jolted by a shock, grabbing the passport from their grasp. My fingers quivered as I turned the pages. Absolutely not. The initial page, the one featuring my portrait, the one that validated my legal identity, bore a significant hole cut through it. The edges were rough, unmistakably cut with scissors. The remaining pages were adorned with vibrant scribbles from colored markers. Crimson, azure, golden, violet. Even the visa stamps bore signs of tampering. All was lost, irreparably shattered. I collapsed onto the floor, my mouth hanging open, rendered speechless. My throat constricted, and my heart raced so fiercely I feared it might explode. I found it hard to catch my breath. My mind was blank. I found it impossible to acknowledge the reality that lay before me. Absolutely not! I let out a piercing cry, a noise that sliced through the atmosphere. My scream pierced the air, causing the kids to jump. Olivia tightened her grip on Ethan, and they both stood there, motionless. Yet, I found myself indifferent to it all. My whole existence had just been shattered by 2 young ones, along with the influence of someone orchestrating it all from behind the scenes. I had no need for evidence. Just a single name illuminated my thoughts. Samantha. I let out another cry, my eyes brimming with tears. Fury, sorrow, and despair, all merging into a single, uncontainable scream. In under a minute, my parents and Samantha burst into the room. My mother gazed in shock at the unfolding scene. There I was, sprawled on the floor, grasping my torn passport, tears streaming down my cheeks. "What transpired?" my mother exclaimed in distress. I raised the passport, trembling as if I were on the verge of bursting. "Listen, the children. I have rendered my passport unusable. I'm scheduled to fly tomorrow, Mom. You're aware of that. Today marks the final day." Samantha appeared completely unfazed. Without regret, without surprise, without care. With her arms crossed, she let out a deep sigh. "Claire, It's essential to exercise greater caution with significant matters. The kids are undeniably curious, aren't they? What would possess you to leave your passport in a place where it could be accessed by others? I turned sharply, to face her, my eyes aflame with intensity. "Excuse me?" I almost shouted right at her. I didn't omit it. It lay concealed within a locked suitcase, tucked away in a hidden compartment, nestled inside a sealed document pouch. Do you really believe that 2 5-year-olds just stumbled upon everything and took my passport? My mom parted her lips, attempting to speak, yet no words emerged. Samantha exuded a sense of calm, bordering on smugness. Children possess a level of intelligence that often goes underestimated. Perhaps you overlooked zipping it up. Perhaps there was a lack of attention to detail. However, it's not justifiable to hold the children accountable. I rose to my feet. Gripping the tattered passport, my voice emerged from the abyss of hopelessness. "Cease the charade. You handed it over to them? I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm certain you were behind this. You were aware that I had no intention of canceling my trip, so you took steps to ensure I couldn't go. This was all a part of your scheme, wasn't it?" Samantha nonchalantly examined her vibrant red nails, a slight shrug accompanying her gesture. "You seem to be overthinking things. Leaving significant items within reach of children can lead to repercussions. Clara, it's time to step up and own your actions." My mother gazed at me, a look of bewilderment on her face. My dad remained quiet, an unusual stillness enveloping him. His hands tightened as if grasping an unseen burden. I took a step back, observing all 3 of them: Samantha, my mother, my father. Then there were the 2 children still seated on the floor, naive and full of wonder. The chamber whirled around. I experienced a complete absence of emotion. My heart lay in ruins, yet the fury within me smoldered, relentless and unwavering. I clutched the tattered passport firmly and spoke, my voice a mere whisper, yet as unyielding as steel. "You believe you've triumphed, don't you?" Samantha smiled, a smile that lingered with a hint of danger. "I don't seek victory. I only wish for your presence to remain." I gave a slight nod, a sharp, empty acknowledgement. Yet within me, a change occurred. More resilient than ever. Chillier. She believed she had extinguished my final glimmer of hope. Yet, Samantha overlooked a crucial detail. I am an individual who dedicated my formative years to the art of sacrifice. Once someone like me has lost everything, they don't surrender easily. I remained motionless on the couch, the torn passport gripped tightly in my hands, my thoughts swirling with anguish, fury, and complete bewilderment. Samantha stood there, composed as if she had merely tidied up a collection of toys, not shattered, the dream I had longed to achieve for 3 years. My mother was attempting to comfort the 2 whimpering children, while my father stayed quiet, until he rose to his feet. I had never witnessed my father in such a way. His gaze was frigid, his tone deep and cutting like a knife. "Ethan, Olivia, please join Grandpa for a moment." The children paused, looking at Samantha, as though they were waiting for her approval. She stood still, yet she couldn't bring herself to halt them. "Gather around, children," he insisted, his voice firm and unyielding. Olivia pulled at her brother's sleeve, and together they strolled over. My dad lowered himself to their height, and a hint of warmth crossed his face. "Beloveds. Grandpa seeks nothing but the truth. Who provided you with Aunt Clara's passport? Who gave you permission to use the scissors and markers?" Ethan blinked, then beamed as if sharing a delightful little secret. "Mommy did, Grandpa. She mentioned that we were creating a surprise gift for Aunt Clara." My heart froze in place. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy. Every word from that little boy pierced through every nerve in my body. Olivia whispered quietly. Mommy remarked that the passport photo was unappealing and should be removed, then suggested embellishing it beautifully so that Aunt Clara would adore it. I glanced at Samantha. Her face had drained of color, solidified, like marble. All remnants of arrogance from before had disappeared. My father rose abruptly. "What on earth is this, Samantha?" His voice shattered the silence of the living room with the force of a storm. My mother gasped in surprise, while Samantha recoiled, her complexion pale as a ghost. "Father, I simply—" "What? Exactly." He let out a thunderous roar. "Did you really show those kids how to ruin your sister's passport? Are you aware of the consequences of your actions?" Samantha's hands shook as she searched for a plausible excuse. I simply wished for her to remain. It sent me into a frenzy. Jack was unable to alter the tickets, and I found myself without anyone to look after the kids. "So you went and ruined Clara's plans? And involved your own children in this appalling act?" His voice trembled with a mix of rage and disillusionment. He was angrier than I had ever witnessed before, not even in the heat of his most intense disagreements with Mom. Samantha erupted in tears, her mascara running down her cheeks. She lunged at my mom, grasping her arm as if she were gasping for air. "I apologize, Mom. I never imagined it would turn out this way." My mother simply shook her head, withdrawing her hand, her eyes brimming with tears. My father moved to the center of the room. His voice had lost its volume, replaced instead by a chilling coldness. "Clara, that's enough. Please come here." I rose to my feet, despite the tremors in my hands and knees, my heart continuing to ache. He gazed at me for an extended pause, as though considering each word carefully. "I apologize, Clara, for allowing you to endure in silence for so long. I have witnessed everything. I have remained quiet for far too long." I bit my lip, skepticism gnawing at my senses. Then he turned to Samantha, and his voice hardened like granite. "The $400,000 that your mother and I had planned to provide you for purchasing a home. It has been canceled. Refrain from calling, refrain from pleading. Avoid attempts at negotiation. From this point forward, every penny will be dedicated to Clara." Samantha's head snapped up as if she had just been splashed with icy water. "Excuse me?" He said it without a hint of hesitation, his gaze unwavering. "You are not worthy of any assistance. Clara plans to utilize that money to embark on her own journey, removed from your harmful influence." "You can't do this," Samantha screamed, her voice sharp and filled with urgency. "I am your daughter, and I have my own family now. A place is needed. For the children." "Then sort it out," he stated bluntly. "Clara is also my daughter, and she has given up more than enough." Silence enveloped the room. Samantha sank onto the couch, tears streaming down her face, as the children glanced around, bewildered and wide-eyed. My mother lingered by the window, motionless like a figure carved from stone. Her shoulders quivered ever so slightly, and an ache stirred within me. Yet there exists an element that is both peculiar and airy. I was taken aback by my father's unexpected support. Never did I envision receiving an opportunity to break free from the shadowy loop that had ensnared me for such an extended period. Yet, in that fractured and tumultuous instant, I experienced the profound realization that I finally possessed a voice of my own. And I realized I would never return to the person I once was. I believed that following that explosion, everything would be irreparably broken. Yet, amidst the ruins, a glimmer of liberation started to emerge. Although my passport was ruined, although my journey to France was abruptly called off, I was left with something infinitely more valuable: precision. I wept throughout the night. However, it wasn't due to my longing for the journey. Emotions overwhelmed me as, after all this time, I witnessed my father finally stand by me. The following morning, I received a call from Jenna. "Flora, we caught every word. Naomi mentioned that your mom reached out to her. Did your passport get ruined? Oh my goodness. We're incredibly furious. I clutched the phone, my voice strained. I apologize for disrupting everyone's plans. A moment of silence lingered. Then Jenna asserted herself with conviction. Negative. I have just one question for you. When will you receive your new passport? I was utterly astonished. We'll wait, Melissa interjected, her tone steady and resolute. The journey holds no significance without your presence. Naomi chuckled gently. Paris has stood the test of time for centuries, Clara. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. But what about us? This moment is all we truly possess. We are a perfect match. Or perhaps not at all. I shielded my face and wept. Yet, on this occasion, they were tears of appreciation, in tranquility, of comfort. In that moment, I experienced a depth of love I had never known before. Obtaining a new passport required almost 2 months of waiting. In that moment, I embarked on an endeavor I had always been denied the chance to pursue. I existed for my own sake. My father began moving parts of the house funds into my account, just as he had assured me he would. My mom gently assisted me in locating a 2-bedroom apartment close to downtown Columbus, where I had secured a position as an internal communications associate at a tech startup. The apartment may not have been spacious, yet it radiated light, maintained a neatness, and possessed an unexpected tranquility. Silence reigns, free from the sounds of children's cries. No more unexpected doorbell rings. No one should be entering. My space asking me to simply keep an eye on them for a while. On move-in day, my dad hoisted the final box of books up the stairs, wiped his brow, and then faced me. At this moment, my pride in you knows no bounds. I embraced him fiercely, reclaiming what had been taken from me over the last 3 years. Passion, self-assurance, my expression, gradually returning. Samantha failed to appear to bid farewell. Following that dreadful evening, she had essentially disappeared from the home. Mom announced that she would leave her job and dedicate herself to being at home with the kids full-time. Initially, she reached out to voice her grievances and assign fault to others. But in time, even that ceased. I didn't feel victorious. I simply sensed. Complimentary. In November, my 3 closest companions and I arrived at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Words failed to capture the sensation of stepping onto French soil. It was undeniably cold, yet the true reason was the tumult of feelings surging within me. We resided in a quaint weekly rental in the Marais. The dawn brought the aroma of fresh croissants, while the afternoons were spent indulging in café au lait by the Seine, and the evenings unfolded in leisurely strolls through cobblestone streets aglow with warm, golden lights. No phone calls urged me to return home. No messages pushing me or suggesting, just a small request. As I ascended to the pinnacle of the Eiffel Tower during sunset, the chilly breeze caressed my face, and tears streamed down my cheeks. Wept as if I had never truly experienced life before. Jenna approached and draped her arm around me. Have you ever considered this? Your smile on this trip is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I faced her, my eyes a fiery red, yet shimmering with light. That's because, for the first time, I truly feel like myself. Upon my return to Ohio, I embarked on my new job, settled into my own apartment, and organized my schedule to suit my preferences. Each weekend, I brewed coffee, immersed myself in jazz, and tidied up my surroundings. Without any distractions, no one passing me their child with a nonchalant, "I just need a moment." Mom made a few visits, each time bringing delightful pastries and cherished old photos. Her silence spoke volumes, and her eyes revealed all that needed to be known. She felt a profound sense of tranquility. Samantha remained absent. According to Mom, she was finding it difficult now that she had to truly embrace motherhood. Jack began to feel increasingly irritable as he found himself stripped of his freedom. I absorbed the words and acknowledged with a nod. Not out of joy, but from a place of understanding. Ultimately, each individual faces the consequences of their decisions. On a quiet Sunday night, I found myself nestled on the couch, cocooned in a warm blanket, cradling a steaming mug of tea. Outside, the inaugural snow of the season was starting to descend. I reached for my phone and flipped through images of Paris. Brilliant grins, subtle, serene instances I once believed I would never experience. Jenna sent a message,